Brendan O'Loughlin. You are so welcome to Flop Culture. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm great. I'm really excited because this is a title that comes up every time someone talks about Flop, and it's been long on my list. I've never watched it, and when I came to you and I said I'd love to have you were like, leave it with me, and you just sent me a singular image of Cher and Christina Aguilera putting on makeup, and you said, I found my Flop, and I said perfect, because I've been dying to talk about Burlesque.
Yeah, well, can we just start by saying Wagon Wheel Watusi?
And Wagon Wheel Watusi to you.
Thank you so much.
Talk to me about this film. When did you first see it? Did you see it when it came out in 2010?
I saw it when it very first came out in 2010. Myself and my friend Ben, at the time, we lived in Cineworld on Parnell Street. We both had the unlimited card. Loved the unlimited card at the time.
Shout out.
Yeah, and we both went to Cineworld to go and watch it. I'm assuming we went the week that it came out, and instantly loved it. Like, from the opening scene, you know, where kind of like the name Cher comes up and it's like the jazz hands are coming up from the bottom of the floor. I was just like, from the opening moments, I was like, I am going to love this movie and I'm going to rewatch this movie for the rest of my days.
Like, what drew you to it? Was it the cast? Are you a big musical movie guy?
Yeah, I do like a good musical, yeah. I don't like the musicals where they sing every single, syllable throughout the whole way. I like, the odd bursting into song. I guess the draw was probably primarily Cher, with a bit of Christina thrown in at the time for me. Did I know what it was when I was going into it? Possibly not, no.
You were just like, Cher, sign me up, perfect.
I was like, look, I've got the unlimited card, guys. There's a movie with Cher in it. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
What's it about for anyone who's not familiar?
Okay, so the best way to explain what Burlesque is it is... Okay, so the Pop Titans, you've got Cher. She is the owner of a burlesque club and it's failing. It's got money troubles and she needs to sort of save the club, right? That's what you've got going on one side. And then on the other side, you've got Christina, and she is this gal who's living in a small town. She's working in this kind of dive bar. She hasn't been paid in weeks. She's like, fuck this shit, I'm out of here. I want to go and become like the big kind of like star on a stage. So she heads off to the bright lights of... Is it based in New York City? I don't even know where Burlesque is based.
I'm not... She comes from Ohio, and then after that...
Yeah, and then after that, we don't know.
No, it's Los Angeles. Isn't
it is.
It
is
LA.
It is.
Yes. That's a terrible impression.
Yes. So Christina heads off and she comes across this burlesque club, which is run by Cher. So she goes in and she's absolutely adamant that she wants to get a job there. Ideally, she wants to be on stage with all the other girls, but she ends up basically just taking her own job as a kind of a server in the bar. And so she starts doing that, starts serving the bar. After she's already been rejected by Cher. Cher has been like, no, honey, like, I've got my girls, like, just go away, come back to me when you've grown up, sort of thing. She starts working the bar. She's like waiting tables, but the whole time she's got an eye on the stage. She's watching all the other girls. And then Cher is like, who's this one? Why is she working here? To this barman, Jack, right? Jack will become very, important to the story. And Jack is like, she picked up a tray. She started serving drinks. So Cher calls Christina over and she's like, girl, don't go behind my back. And there's a really good line in it where Cher is kind of like, okay, look, you can work here for a while, but don't ever cross me again. And Christina's like, sure thing, ma'am. And she's like, and don't call me ma'am again. And then Christina's like, okay, sir. And then it's just brilliant. So look, then Christina's kind of waiting tables, watching, and then eventually they hold auditions. Stanley Tucci is also in this, plays an amazing character called Sean, and he's sort of like Cher's right-hand man. He's kind of, making sure all the girls are zipped up, all the costumes are fixed and whatnot. So Cher and Stanley Tucci are holding auditions for new people to come along to the club, and it's very much dancing. It's burlesque and dance only. And Cher's whole point is, her character's Tess, is that they lip sync. And she's like...
Yeah, she's the only one that sings, everyone else lip syncs.
Yeah, she's like, I sing, everyone else lip syncs. They don't come here to hear you sing, they come here to watch you dance. So they have these auditions and Christina's floating around, but she hasn't had the opportunity to audition. And Stanley and Cher, Sean and Tess are sitting there, and all of a sudden Christina comes out and she's like, I'm going to audition. Like, I want my place in this club. And she comes out and Cher's like, I don't want to hear this. And she's like, I can do any number. And this is where we get the iconic line of Cher's like, Christina's like, what do you want from me? And Cher's like, I can't tell you. She's like, you gotta show me. And she's like, I can do any number. What number do you want? And Cher is like, Wagon Wheel Watusi, and screams it. And then Christina flings herself around the stage and ends up landing herself a role in this failing club that we know from behind the scenes. So Christina joins. She's dancing away for a while. There's another character called Nikki. Nikki is the workplace cow.
Yeah.
That's the fair
absolutely
kind of way
Kristen Bell plays her, and I do want to come back to that.
Okay.
Because I might have an issue with it. But yeah, Nikki is like the lead girl, but
yes,
clearly struggling with alcohol and like taking the piss, turning up late, and is just, as you said, bit of a wagon.
Yeah.
Bit of a bitch to the other girls.
Totally.
So one of the days she does turn up late and has been drinking, and Tessa's like, I can't be arsed doing this with you anymore. Like, Ali's gonna get your role.
Yeah.
So Ali goes out and is ready to perform, but sure enough, Nikki is conniving behind the scenes, whatever,
Yes.
knocks off the music so she's not able to lip sync.
Yeah.
But lo and behold, as we've already seen, Ali got
Yes.
pipes. Ali can sing.
Yeah. So this is Christina's, Ali's big moment where Nikki's pulled the plug at the sound desk, and there's this whole really ridiculously dramatic moment where Ali's standing on stage, Nikki's pulled the plug, and kind of everything goes deathly silent. And then Ali just sort of like breaks into that Christina powerful vocal that we all know. And Tess is like, lower the curtain. Then Ali starts singing, and then she's like, wait, raise the curtain. And then there's this whole massive moment where Ali comes into her own, performs a live vocal in the club for the first time since Tess has done one. The crowd go wild, and then Tess turns around and goes, I'm building a whole show around you. And everyone does a clap. Yeah.
And it's incredible.
So it's so good. So then, so you've got Christina / Ali trying to, get her star rising. And then on the other side, then you've got Tess trying to save the club. So kind of behind the scenes, we know that like they're in serious financial trouble. A guy called Marcus Gerber has made an offer to buy the club, but he's played by Eric Dane. He seems a bit like sleazy and slimy.
Sleazy, like seems to be seeing Nikki always at the club.
Different girl every week kind of vibe. So this deal is being kind of like struck by Tessa's ex-husband, who she was involved in the club with. And Tessa's just like, no, like I'm not selling my club to this man. But he knows that like she's financially fucked basically. Yeah. So he's like, this is a really good offer. And there are several points throughout the movie where he comes along, he's like, offers her more money to take the club. And she's just like, I'm absolutely not going to sell. So yeah, you've got Christina and her star, Tess and her fading club. And then you've also got Ali and Jack. So Jack, the barman, played by Cam. Is it Gigande? I've actually never known how to pronounce.
I was afraid you were going to ask me how to pronounce it.
Yeah, I think it's Gigande. Anyway,
Gigande.
Gigande.
He plays James in Twilight. For anyone who for the Twihards.
Yeah, I'm not a Twihard at all. I've never seen it, but yeah. So
the girlies will know.
Yeah,
the girlies that are listening. Will
yeah. I remember at the time when I went to see Burlesque, I was like, I have never seen a man so hot. I fancied him so much. Even at the time, the guy liner, the bowler hat, I was into the whole lot. On a rewatch this week, I was like, maybe not so much. Maybe not.
Did anyone else catch your eye instead? Marcus?
Stanley Tucci. Like, Stanley Tucci's right.
Yeah, I mean... And just like
he's
acting.
So handsome.
Now, I will say all of the performances are really good, but like he's acting rings around like the less good ones.
100%. Yeah. And actually on like the rewatch, I noticed that, like, I love this movie. I'm a diehard fan. Everything inside the club is brilliant. The scenes outside are not so great.
Yeah.
Like do you remember there's a scene at the start where Ali has just got to LA and she's like trying to find the apartment or trying to find directions. And like Christina Aguilera literally does this. She's like, I'm looking for directions. She's one finger on her chin and she uses a finger from another hand to point to go, which street do I go?
Is that not how you think out loud? No.
Yeah. Yeah. You just see me around town.
Do you know what I loved? It was when she was writing that postcard back home, and it was a picture of her apartment.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, health and safety, guys.
Yeah. And then she's like,
Crazy.
Arrow. She's like, me, this is my window. So Jack is the guy who's behind the bar when Ali first gets into the club. And there's this whole will they, won't they for the whole movie. And what happens is that kind of dingy apartment that Ali moves into at the start of the movie, it ends up getting robbed. She's after taping her money in her little freezer bag, down the kind of cistern of the toilet. She gets back from the club one day. The place has been ransacked. She needs to leave. So she goes and stays with Jack in his place. And instantly there's a bit of, bit of tension.
A little bit of friction, yeah.
And what we learn is Ali had assumed that Jack was a raging homosexual.
Yeah.
Which she finds out the next morning while making breakfast in wearing very little clothes, that's not the case. And then she's like, oh my God, I shouldn't even be staying here. Not only are you not gay, you're actually engaged to a woman. So this goes on for most of the movie and you just know it's gonna happen.
Yeah, because the whole thing is the fiance played hilariously by Diana Agron. Shout out to my Gleeks. When it was like cameo from Diana Agron, I was like, what the hell? Anyway, she's playing the fiance who was doing a play. So I think she's in New York. She's doing a play in New York. And the whole thing is she's supposed to come back, but she has to stay longer in New York.
She's
so like Jack's like, I can't afford the apartment of my own. So like, I'll sublet to you if you stay here.
Yeah.
So they kind of, as you said, it's this like friendship, but they're kind of like nod, winking at each other. I think he's realising the longer the fiance is away that he's like, I am in love with her. But she is also embarking on kind of a semi-relationship with Marcus as her star is rising. As you said, Marcus is like, hello, hot new young king. I'm going to kidnap you, which she essentially does. And they're all kind of laughing about it in the car. Again, I was like, please, your telephone on, please. But they do find each other eventually.
And she's also got the very sensible Sean / Stanley Tucci in her ear going, come on, I can see what's going on here, guys. Can you both not see this? I can see it. And Sean says to Jack, he's like, whenever the fiance phones him, to be like, oh, I'm going to stay away a while longer. And he's like, oh yeah, what was that conversation about? Oh, let me guess. Her. So like Sean can see from his perspective that he's like, Jack, this relationship is not going to work.
Yeah.
And you and Ali are destined to be together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, despite the finger thinking and pointing, Christina is like, for context, I've never seen this film ever. This was my first time watching this. And the narrative that I had been led to believe at the time of release and for kind of a few years after that was that this film was dog shit. Like this film was a certified flop. It was really bad.
Yeah.
Upon doing research, it actually kind of critically it was decently received. Not incredibly, but like decently received. And it made money. So then when I sat down to watch this, I was like, oh no, like I buy you as the kind of fish out of water / I want to be a star. Like I just watched Showgirls. We're doing an episode on that in a couple of weeks. And like to compare and contrast those performances, like, I don't know, I had very little faith in Christina and she did kind of pop off. And it does help as well then when she like, you are a pop star, like you can sing. And not only can you sing like that.
Yeah, you sing incredibly well.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is also an excellent line in this. So the character Nikki we spoke about, like she kind of the workplace cow, she was the main one. Then Christina comes in and sings whatever. And there's this great scene which references like Christina's vocal ability in the car park. Nikki's drunk. Cher is like, just get the fuck away from me. And Nikki's, I think it's probably my second favourite line after just Wagon Wee Wah Tootsie. Nikki turns around and in reference to Ali's singing live in the Burlesque Club, just goes, I will not be upstaged by some bitch with mutant lungs. What a line. And that's...
Sorry, perfect.
Christina Aguilera has mutant lungs in the most complimentary way possible.
How does she do that run at the end? Show me Burlesque. Like when she said, it went, I'm not even going to attempt to do it now, but it was like a TikTok trend for a while where like good singers were trying to do it. It's just, she's phenomenal. I wonder, was it just because this was kind of amidst her like overall flop era? So then people were like, God, and now she's doing a film with Cher, God love her. Do you know, I don't know, maybe it was that.
Yeah, like I don't think, like obviously I don't think it's a bad movie.
Oh no, like I think
I don't think it is.
I gave it 4 stars on Letterboxd, and I said Christina Aguilera could do Wagon Wheel, but Nathan Carter couldn't do Wagon Wheel. Watch it. See, I'll tell you that right now. Like it's very. I think where it lacks is the writing is a bit cliched in some points.
Totally.
But at the same time, you're sitting down to watch a film like this. I think you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
And you want what you're getting.
Yeah.
Like if you're watching this with a too critical eye, I think you're not going to have any fun. And the whole point of this film is to have fun.
Yeah. No, it is. It's cliche. It's easy. You know exactly what's going to happen next. But I don't say those things as a negative. I think that's like, sometimes you want that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think Cher's really good in this. This
Cher's
is like her
brilliant.
first, because she's done films before this, obviously. But this is her first musical
Snap
film.
out of it.
Snap out of it. Just, she's so good.
Yeah.
I found the relationship between her and Christina like actually very tender on screen. Again,
Totally.
despite the fact you had all these rumours while shooting that apparently they didn't get on.
Oh, really?
Now, like, depending on what you read, like, Entertainment Weekly did an oral history of it in 2010 for the 10th anniversary. So they got together, like, the director, your man, Anton.
Yeah.
And they talked to Cher and they talked a bit to Christina. Stephen Anton, I should say. I'll come back to him in a second. Now, Christina's answers were very much giving, like, I emailed these.
Right.
Now, that's my own opinion. Maybe she didn't.
Yeah.
And it was very like generic, like very nice, but very kind of media trained. Like this is what I'm going to say. But they were kind of talking about the casting process and the fact that because they wanted someone with such a huge voice, it was always Christina. There was never anyone else that they were looking at.
Yeah.
For Tessa, they were looking at, they were considering maybe Queen Latifah or Michelle Pfeiffer.
Okay.
I'm not sure I buy either of them in the role of Tessa. But basically they were saying that like when they were kind of making the introduction with the two of them to try and like work it out and see if it would work.
Yeah.
That Christina was like obsessed with Cher and obviously idolizes Cher and was essentially like, I think Stephen went to Cher and was like, this girl would drink your bathwater.
Yeah.
And when they did introduce each other, Christina was like, hi, I'm Christina. I'm the girl that would drink your bathwater.
Coming on too strong. Cher was like, the desperation, I'm not into. You just know that you need to probably play it a bit cool around Cher.
I'd say Cher was cringing a bit.
You've been too keen.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what happened.
Yeah.
And then Cher kind of like lent into the power of like, bitch, I'm Cher.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
But that scene in the mirror, like where they're talking about, like, you know, her not having a mother figure in her life for like so many years, whatever. Like the word used perfectly is tender. Like they had some amazing scenes together.
And Cher says she loved that scene, and she said, I think she said it was kind of improv, but she said it just reminded her of like her growing up as a young girl and putting on her own makeup. Like it's so beautiful. But they shot a lot of their scenes. Because this is the other thing as well that you glean from the oral history that I'm kind of like, they were kind of putting it down to scheduling issues, which it could have been. But I think they had to front load all of Christina's scenes and then do with like the solo bits and then Cher's and then just get them together when they could.
Okay.
Now I will say also, two very busy people, it's probably very likely. But
Yeah. That's interesting now.
I want to come back to what I was saying about Kristen Bell as Nikki.
Yes.
I don't think I buy her as a villain. Thoughts?
Oh, do you not?
Kristen Bell, and I think it's...
Is that because you associate her with Frozen?
Well, Frozen, like Veronica Mars, The Good Place. She's very... Now, I will say I kind of bought... I bought it more as the film went on.
Yeah.
But there's a part of me that's just like, if we were to recast that, who would that be? I don't know. Did you buy it?
I bought her, absolutely. Yeah, I totally bought her. Like those scenes in the dressing room where she's like, "Get off my stuff." Like, look, it's not exactly the toughest role in the world, I'd imagine.
True.
But no, I bought her as she did it for me. I liked it.
Yeah. If we were to reboot it or recast, anyone in mind?
Oh, who would we put in there now?
I wonder would Ariana do it?
Yeah, she would be great.
There has to be a bit of like dancing, and you have to have the humongous voice.
Yeah. I mean, she's got a huge
Gaga could
voice.
be Tessa.
Gaga could definitely be Tessa. I mean, what I would love to see is like, you could reboot, but like I'd also love a sequel. I mean, do we need it? Absolutely not. But a sequel with like, have we got like Jack and Ali have had a kid and maybe we've fast forwarded a few years and maybe like her kid and Nikki's kid are like the young ones on the stage and we're going on from there. Maybe there's jeopardy and Cher is about to lose the club again and maybe the gals save her again this time.
Or it's like on the theme of the topic of the child. So they have a child. It's like you're with the child wanting to pursue burlesque performing or like performance of some kind, and Ali's like, no, you can't.
Yeah.
Christina would kind of slay that.
Yeah.
We never need sequels, but we do love them, girls, don't we?
We don't need them.
Truly.
Yeah.
Truly.
But we'll be here for it majorly. Yeah. Obviously, the music is phenomenal.
Incredible. We have Tricky Stewart as the music producer. He'd done like huge pop producer in his own right, and Diane Warren wrote a load of the songs, and Christina wrote is co-writer on a few of the songs as well. Like that's the thing. The music does stand up on its own.
The music completely stands up on its own. Yeah, it's so good. I remember when we went to watch it the first time, the standout song for me, like there are huge songs, like, you know, like Welcome to Burlesque is obviously massive, Express is huge, there's some really amazing ballads at the end, but it's that song that's smack bang in the middle that Cher does. It's her solo, You Haven't Seen the Last of Me. Like that for me, I guess the first time that I watched the movie, I think was the highlight of the movie for me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessary. It didn't really add to the storyline. Actually, a friend of mine said to me that song by Cher, You Haven't Seen the Last of Me, was going to be cut from the movie.
Yeah, and Diane Warren, who wrote it, was like, I had heard it was gone. I was furious with them, and then saw the final cut, and she was like, all right, grand, brilliant. And then got nominated for a Golden Globe.
Yeah. Amazing.
So there you go.
I think it won a gold. Did it win?
I think it won.
Won a Golden Globe, but it got nominated for something else. Yeah. So, and there is really no point to it other than Cher doing amazing.
I mean, I think it's because there's just so much else going on, and you would kind of forget that, like, because you're seeing Ali kill all these class numbers, you kind of forget that the club is in the pits money wise. Like, I'm just looking at Ali being like, jaw on the floor, Christina Aguilera, absolutely slaying.
Yeah, no, it's so good. Yeah, that song I just loved, and there's one near the end where when I did my rewatch, Christina almost looks like AI. Like, I don't know what filter is going on, but it's one of the songs at the end. Oh, her and Jack have finally got together towards the end of the movie. And she's doing this gorgeous number. There's like this off the shoulder, kind of like turquoise colored dress. The hair is up. But it like there's a Snapchat-esque filter going on the face, but she looks phenomenal. She looks great. Yeah.
Killing it.
Love it.
We are going to take a very quick break. We'll be right back after this. I meant to come back to Stephen Anton because obviously I was researching this and I was like, Anton, why is that like tickling my brain? Why is the second name tickling my brain? He is the brother of Robin Anton, who started the Pussycat Dolls before they were like before Pussycat Dolls were a pop act, they were a burlesque act.
Yeah.
And Christina had actually performed, I think, in one of the original iterations of that show. So he obviously had all this experience of like seeing the shows or whatever that Robin had done.
Yeah.
I just thought that was so interesting. And then he went on to Robin went on to do like the reality shows, which we will do on Flop Culture at some point. It's given the search for the next Pussycat Doll, and they did one on when Girlicious was formed, because I think that was Girlicious formed off the back of that show. Anyway, he went on, because I was like, what other credits does he have? And there's nothing else that stands out to me bar literally search for the next Pussycat Doll and Girlicious. I was like, classic.
When you mentioned the Pussycat Dolls there before they were a pop group, have I misremembered this? Or was my first introduction to the Pussycat Dolls in Charlie's Angels Full Throttle? Were they in that movie? Did they dance in that? Like, not sing? I think.
I haven't seen that film. And that's another flap I want to do if anyone wants to do that.
It's a great one. Yeah. I think the Pussycat Dolls were in Charlie's Angels Full Throttle.
As like their launch. Is Adam Googling? I am. Adam's Googling, thank God.
Adam's Googling, thank you, Adam.
Got that first, Charlie's Angels, brilliant. Speaking of when things shouldn't be rebooted, had you watched the most recent reboot? This is such a tangent, but anyway, you're just not. Yeah, so you're probably better off.
No, not for me.
We don't need that knowledge.
Did not know that connection was there. That they were. Yeah.
So there you go.
Wow.
As we mentioned earlier, like it was like reasonably commercially successful. Like I think it did end up making back its budget, and then this is still kind of prime DVD time-ish.
Yes.
So it made a lot in home video sales. But in fairness, like it came out at a very like big time for other titles. So it came out in Thanksgiving, before Thanksgiving in the US.
Yeah.
But it came in behind. You've Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. You've Tangled. Like it was just a big time at the box office. Chronicles of Narnia, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, The Tourist, like Harry Potter's still rocking around there.
Yeah.
Like that stiff competition, especially when you're considering all the other things we mentioned, where it's like Christina probably wasn't being taken as seriously as she had been previously.
Yeah.
And Cher, look, we all love Cher, but there is an element of like, we're watching this because it's camp and not because we think Cher's going to turn out an amazing performance. Even though she did. I would argue she did.
She did turn out a great performance, but we're absolutely going in there because we want high octane, camp, just good old fun. Yeah. Yeah, you're not going in there being like, this is going to be the most credible thing I've ever watched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not sure that's what you want from it. Adam has the information now.
I have information. Some of the Pussycat Dolls appeared in the 2003 film Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, dancing to Mancini's The Pink Panther theme.
Brilliant. So you didn't misremember.
Go me. Wow.
Oh, you.
Well, what useful information I retain.
That's what flap culture is all about, having really useful information. I want to put a couple of reviews too. Well, actually, I just want to put one because, as I said, it was like generally the reviews were mixed.
Yeah.
The cast performance was praised, the soundtrack, the writing was criticised for being cliche.
Yeah, fair.
There was one review from Variety that I thought was interesting. They said the film wants to be cabaret but lacks the edge and historical context to pull it off. I would argue you go too edgy and you get something like Showgirls, which we're going to talk about it on the Showgirls episode. I don't need to keep coming back to it, but like Burlesque is a predecessor or whatever the opposite of that word is to it.
Yes.
Followed it.
Yeah.
Showgirls is too edgy in some parts and it doesn't pull it off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's ham-fisted and it's weird. Whereas like, I think they dealt with everything. Like, it's a bit surface level, but like, so what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think we needed to see like, God forbid anything terrible happened to Nikki or whatever. We got that she was like a drunk and then somehow managed to pull her life together.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah. She's like, I want to be back in. She's like, okay, you're back in. And surface level is a great way to describe the entire movie. Like, you really don't have, like, loads of sort of like B storylines going on. It really is just about trying to save the club for Tess and trying to get on stage for Ali and that sort of it. Like, I think, and yeah, the writing was criticised. I think everyone getting involved in this movie knew exactly what they were getting themselves involved with and were happy for it to be exactly what it is. And the reason that I certainly rewatch it as many times as I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
In fact, when it actually came out, God bless the unlimited card, I went to see it a second time. And no, I did.
You're the only reason this made money at the box
seriously.
office.
Yeah. So I went back to see it a second time when it came out. So within the first week, and at the time I was working with Panty. So Open FM was this like a temporary LGBT radio station that was around for Pride of that year. And I was producing the Panty show. And so I meet Rory every week and we'd meet up and have a kind of a production meeting, whatever. And he was like, what did you do? And I went to see Burlesque again. And Rory O'Neill, Panty Bliss, turned around to me and said, you're so fucking gay. And I was like, you're the Queen of Ireland. Yeah. I was like, okay.
Scalped by a drag queen.
Scalped by Panty. Yeah.
There you go. It's been adapted into a stage musical and it's actually only opened, so we're recording this the end of June.
Yeah.
It literally opened this week and from what I read of the reviews, pretty good.
It's supposed to be amazing.
Todrick Hall is in it.
Yeah.
He was the only kind of, again, if you're more of a theatre person, I'm sure you know some of the other names, but going down very well. Would you go see it? Would you have any interest?
I have booked tickets.
Have you?
I booked tickets literally the other day. So it's in Manchester until the end of July, maybe. Then it goes to Edinburgh and then it's back in Manchester in October, November. So I'm going to go in October. Amazing. I want to let them have time to bed in, do all that. I don't want to see or read too much about it because I want to just go and like kind of like be smacked in the face. But from the pictures that I've seen, the staging looks amazing. Yeah. And the little bits that I've read, the reviews are really good. Now, obviously, the kinds of people that are going to see Burlesque, the stage show, are the people that will be listening to this episode who are the total Burlesque stans. So they're going to go, and chances are they're probably going to go, although I don't know, if I went and it was shit, I'd be like, no, that was shit.
I see, but the thing is, I think they have a lot more to play with because of how it's like built this cult status. You know what I mean? Because as I said, it did have this kind of reputation as being like a little bit shit when it came, and it was at that time where it was like, I don't know, I feel like people weren't as publicly able to be like, I like this because I like this because it is shit and it's
Yeah,
fun.
yeah,
And like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
allowed like it because of all those. You know what I mean? This is very like era of where guilty pleasures exist. Whereas
Yeah.
now I feel like now people are like, there's no such thing as guilty pleasures. We just like we like.
don't buy into the guilty pleasure thing. Yeah.
No, neither do I. That's
No.
the whole point of this podcast.
Yes,
But I think
yeah.
I think with this now, I think they have room to have a bit more fun with it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because obviously I think there are funny moments in the film, but like Christina and Cher are turning up and they're turning out and they want to do the best they can.
Yeah,
and they do.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think with the stage show, then you've just way more room to poke fun at it and how camp
Yeah.
it is and like ham that up without getting too hammy. So
And-
I think it's gonna be brilliant. I'm so jealous of
And
you.
also, like, the literal story lends itself to being a stage
Yeah.
show just perfectly. Like,
Yeah.
that's what it is. It is a show on a stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it so much. Anyone who's not convinced yet, who's still listening, and they're not on the Watusi wagon, the wagon wheel
The
Watusi.
Watusi. Yeah. Wagon wheel Watusi.
How would you convince someone? What's your like closing pitch as to why this isn't a flop and it should be embraced wholly by all?
This is a joyous, camp, fun, easy watch. And I say that, like, with,
Love in your heart.
with love in my heart, that stars the icon that is Cher, the icon that is Christina. It is a sort of a almost rags to riches story involving air rights. Did you know what air rights were
Sorry,
before this?
before we
Also,
finish-
are air rights an actual thing?
I think so.
Is this a real thing?
Before we finish, you need to explain that because I actually meant to ask you that.
Okay.
Because it's this whole la la la. It's burlesque. I'm in love with this
Yeah.
bartender. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Economics.
Yes.
Economics.
Yeah.
Explain what happens at the
So
end.
sorry, the big bad villain. Yeah, when we were kind of getting into the story, the big bad villain, Marcus Gerber, is this developer who ends up kind of like wooing Christina for like the mid portion of the movie. He's the one that's trying to buy Tessa's club. And Tessa's like, no, you're not I'm not selling. Christina ends up back at Marcus's place where he's got this kind of model of what he intends to build where the club is. And Christina's like, what's this? And he's like, oh, it's a 20-story, apartment block. And she's like, but what about Tessa's club? And he's like, it's business. So they're in Marcus's gorgeous mansion, like if you imagine like kind of selling sunset vibes, overlooking the Hollywood Hills with this gorgeous view. And Christina's just like, oh my God, the view is amazing. He's like, oh yeah, air rights. And she's like, what the fuck are air rights? And he's like, see that building there? I own everything above it. So he reveals to her that to keep the view of his gaff, he's paid a fortune to stop the person across from him building any stories higher. Which then in the end, Christina goes running back to Cher to go, I've got this, I've solved it. You don't need to sell the club. What you need to do is sell the air above the club to the developer across the road who's just built these massive apartments that he's going to try and sell for millions and millions of dollars, which of course it won't be worth that if her club is flattened and a big tower goes up. So that's how it's all tied up in the perfect little bow at the end. And
so good.
the day is saved for everyone. And then also, Cher gets to finally get rid of her ex-husband out of her hair because she gets to buy him out. And he's like, oh yeah, you're really going to buy me out in the next 24 hours? And she's like, in the next 24 seconds. Oh.
Your Cher impression is very good.
Thank you. Many years.
You've been working on that.
Many years, yes.
We need to set the sequel in Dublin, with all the developments going on.
Yeah.
And it's Davina Devine's Thirsty Thursdays.
Johnny Ronan's the developer.
We have to save the George. Yeah. Johnny Ronan's the villain. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Why should people watch it then?
Okay, because it's just a bloody great movie, in my opinion. The music is genuinely like, look, if you're not into musicals and you're not into, it's not going to be your kind of movie.
Yeah, I will say that
if you're
now.
listening to this podcast,
Yeah.
the chances are you're probably going to be into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge musical person and I enjoyed it. Because
Yeah.
as you said, it's not incredibly in your face, but there are musical numbers.
Yeah,
So just lean in.
It's a great movie. Cher, Christina, great musical numbers, great performances. It's an easy watch. There's a great love interest. Everyone's gorgeous. And yeah, it's genuinely just brilliant. I only introduced my mom to it for the first time a few Christmases ago. And it is.
She adore.
It's her most rewatched movie. And she gets really upset when it goes off Netflix. Because the way they put things come on and off. I think it's currently off and she's not happy.
Not good enough, guys.
I genuinely think you will, if you haven't tried it, give Burlesque a shot. You're going to love it. And it will become one of those ones that you rewatch.
100%. I love it. I can't wait to watch it again.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'd love to watch it in a cinema or as like, we keep referencing drag queens and drag shows or whatever. I'd love to see a drag show of it. Like,
yeah, 100%.
So good.
Yeah, so good.
Brendan, what a pleasure. You're welcome back anytime. I think you had a few other picks, so
I have a
please
few
come back
others.
soon.
Yeah. I will.
Maybe you have to come back to do Charlie's Angels full
Maybe I
throttle. Now
will.
you've said it.
Yeah.
Where can people find you if they want to find you? And where can they listen to you?
Oh, they can listen to me on 98 FM, The Big Breakfast, every weekday with Rebecca Shackleton. And if you'd like to find me, I'm most active on Instagram, really, at Brendan O'Loughlin.
Stunning. Brendan O'Loughlin, thank you so much for joining me on Flop Culture.
Thank you.